I hope everyone is ready to have some fun with math facts. It looks like it is officially 2 o'clock and time to get started. So thank you for joining this edition of ShillerLearning's Tuesdays at 2. I'm your host, Antoinette LaGrossa. Math fact proficiency can make solving more advanced math problems go more quickly and even aid in daily tasks. Yes, we actually do use math in daily life. However, most kids find the usual math facts dry, boring, and frustrating. So let's look at a better way that's fun, engaging, and even builds more pathways in the brain in the storage of the information. So children start with a universal love of math. It's a precise language for understanding the order of our world. Unfortunately, in America, a lot of us end up disliking math, thinking we're not a math person. Some of you listening right now may even feel that. It has a lot to do with the math instruction we had. So let's help our kids learn and love math. One of the ways to do that is with multisensory activities. Multisensory is especially effective for math practice. Rather than relying on worksheets and flashcards, a multisensory approach uses all 4 learning styles. So you've got the visual, tactile, auditory, and kinesthetic. This is really important because when you're using all 4 learning styles, it means that no matter what your child's dominant learning style, that mode of practice is going to work for them. Sometimes with math instruction, you might have some multisensory conceptual instruction, but then it goes back to relying on that one modality of math fact practice, either the worksheets or the flashcards. And if that is not engaging your child's dominant learning style, they're not getting the full benefit of that practice, especially if you have a kinesthetic child. A lot of the practice activities just completely leave that out. So by using all 4, it means no matter what your child's dominant learning style, you're guaranteeing for success for them. It's engaging all of the brain. When you're using different learning styles, it's actually firing neurons in parts of the brain that would have otherwise been inactive. So it's hardwiring those concepts faster, creating additional pathways for that information. The fringe benefit for the child, of course, is it's a whole lot more fun and engaging. Okay, before we dive in, I just want to give you this tip, and that is to vary location. The multisensory math fact practice, it's a great way of doing some summer skills practice, keeping those skills sharp over the summer while you're taking a break. And it's the perfect time to engage with the outdoors. So first off, take it outside. All of these activities can be done outside. The ball activities, you can do those in the pool. You can do a lot of these on the trampoline. Don't forget to take it with you on vacation. A lot of these are very portable. You can do them on a hike, stop on a hillside and have a beautiful view, enjoy a picnic lunch, and play one of these games. Or even when you're in a restaurant waiting for your meal to be served. So there's a lot of opportunities to Give your child a fresh perspective, keep it fun, keep it engaging, and spend just a couple of minutes here and there practicing facts. And before you know it, they will have that accuracy and speed, the proficiency that you're looking for. Okay, and along those lines, I wanted to share this with you. Um, this is a customer experience that was sent into us. And I think it's so similar to what a lot of us experience. And she lets us know that until this year, my son and I were using another math program, which I won't name, and always happy when it's unnamed. To complete a lesson took 1.5 hours. It was torture for both of us. And I have to tell you, my first math experience when I started homeschooling using another program was exactly that also. So I can feel that. So my son, who is a creative and mathematical, hated doing math. Since I've switched to ShillerLearning, his creative mathematical side has come to life. From the first time I popped in the music CD, he decided to start figuring stuff out on his own. He somehow figured out the basic math, the basic principle of multiplication and division before we even got to that part. In fact, in some ways, he's always one step ahead of the program because the way he is learning gets him to think of how he can apply what he knows to other math functions. He rarely did this type of thinking with the other program. The other program did, however, do a lot of drill. In fact, it drilled us to death. That statement, drilled to death, is what most kids are experiencing with math, and the reason that a lot of kids come to hate math. With ShillerLearning, I was worried he wasn't getting enough drill in his math facts. The other day, I decided to pull out the old flashcards to find out if he was behind. To my amazement, he aced them all in record time. So, you know, don't feel that because your child is not complaining and does not dread doing math fact practice and it feels like fun and playing, that they aren't actually getting the benefit of that practice. That story, it very parallels my own experience and so many other customer stories that we have had over the years. Um, so I just wanted to share that with you. Okay. And one of the things that that customer talked about was the conceptual understanding. And that's actually something you want your child to have before you're doing math fact practice. So if your child does not conceptually understand what's happening in the operation, be it addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division, and you start memorizing those facts, you're not going to get a lot of benefit from that. So ensure that they have that conceptual understanding first. Math is a language, and just like phonics and sight words help you to save time when reading, math facts are among the foundational blocks for making math easier and ensuring success in higher level math. But to do so without that conceptual understanding um, can be that negative. So um, there are other activities aside from the ones that we're looking at for the math fact practice that build that conceptual understanding. So you just want to make sure that that occurs first. Okay, so one of the first activities is using dominoes. This is a fun game. Of course, you have the domino game as it can be played with the instructions that are included with it. Bear with me just a moment. So dominoes, they give you the tactile, they are also visual, and an interesting component of the visual representation of the numbers on the dominoes is the patterning of the numbers with the dots. And so while the child is using these for doing addition and subtraction, um, and the addition and subtraction activities are found in lesson books 1 and 2, but the bulk of those are in lesson book 2. And so when the child is looking at the number, they're quickly going to stop counting the dots to figure out what the number is and just know that, for example, the 9 domino, well, that's 3 rows of 3. I know that's 9. And so they'll begin to do what's called subitizing, and that's just look at the pattern and know exactly how many dots that is. And that's actually going to help them memorize those math facts more quickly and identify additional patterns in the numbers. And so while they're working on mastering their addition and subtraction facts, they'll also be picking up those patterns, which will help to lay that foundation for multiplication and division afterwards. So with this, they can simply add the two sides of the dominoes. Couple of different variations. You can have the child put all of the dominoes. Now we do use a double 9 domino so that they're able to work on math facts up to 18 when they're doing addition. In that double 9 domino set, there are 55 dominoes. So they can put all 55 into a bag, dump them out, and let's say we're working on math facts that sum to 10, and sort for all of the dominoes that indeed sum to 10. Now, in doing so, the child is also having to sum all of the others in order to eliminate them. Then what they can do is, if your child enjoys writing, you can have them write out the equations. They can build equations with the number cards, or you can simply use the domino as a flashcard. And if the child gets the answer correct to the domino, they get it. If they get it wrong, it goes back into the pile for them to try again. And then once the child has gotten all of the equations correct, then they can have a period of play, setting them up, knocking them over. I have found that this is a really fun activity for kids. And without you ever saying speed drill, your child will work through the math part of this activity so that they get to that period of free exploration and play, whatever it is that they want to do with that. So it's a great way of helping to increase speed along with that accuracy. Now, if you're going to use these for subtraction, you would just want to make sure that the larger number is on the left side of the domino. Unless, of course, your child has learned negative numbers, and then the dominoes can be a fun way of practicing math facts with negatives also. Okay, so this next one is Flashcard Fever. ShillerLearning does have flashcards. They are a little different than other flashcards that you see out there. And the unit cubes, there are representations of the blocks. So you've got the blocks shown on the problem side and then also on the answer side, and it gives strategies for moving those blocks to come to the answer. Flashcard Fever is another way to use the flashcards, in addition to using those with the blocks. And with this, you'll want to choose the operations that are appropriate for your child's level. So if your child has been doing addition and subtraction, but not yet multiplication and division, you would want to use just the flashcards from those two packs. If they've been learning all of them, go ahead and use all 4 packs of flashcards for this. And then place the cards problem side up, you don't want the answer showing, and then call out a number, let's say 8. And then we're going to race to find all of the problems that have that number as the answer. This is a lot of fun. You do just want to make sure that there aren't sharp edges around because, sometimes you can slip on a flashcard. So just be mindful of obstacles that are nearby. This is a fun thing that you can do out in the yard in open space. And you can have it be a race where you're racing your child, siblings are racing each other, or a classroom, or it can be a race to beat your personal best. And timing, how quickly your child is able to do that, and then over time, beating their best time. Okay, so the unit cubes are another way that you can practice math facts. And again, this is appropriate for all of your operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. For addition, what you can do with those is, let's say you're working on facts to addition facts to 10 and all of the different ways that you can sum to that. Well, you can lay out 10 of those unit cubes and show that, okay, so here are 10, so 10 plus 0 is 10, and then move just one of those away to the right side, and now it's 9 and 1. Well, that's 10. Then move a second one to that right, and now you've got 8 and 2, and then another one, 7 and 3, another 6 and 4, 5 and 5, and then 4 and 6, 3 and 7, 2 and 8, 1 and 9, and then back to 10. So with that, the kids are able to see, again, patterns, seeing the manipulative, and working in families like that. You've got your fact families, but also doing it where you're summing to everything to a certain number. Kids are going to be able to pick up those groupings of facts a lot more quickly. Works for doing subtraction, multiplication. The unit cubes are also great for showing multiples of a number. And with that, the 100 chart is a convenient tool for linking with those unit cubes and also building your child's number sense. It provides visual support for finding the multiples or skip counting, really all kinds of number patterns. And I like to have just extras of the 100 or 0 to 99 chart printed and just let my kids come up with off-label uses for those. It's really neat to see how they think about numbers and the patterns that they will find and observations they'll make. But for multiplication and division, you can have your child color in the multiples for each number so that they can see the pattern. So let's say that we were doing facts of 5. Your child can pull out the 5 unit cubes, color the 5 on the chart, pull out the next 5 cubes, color the 10, and so on through. So your child will start to make connections to the products of each fact instead of just memorizing. So that visual component, again, this is going to be tactile if you're doing it with them. It is auditory as well. Oh, for division, I'm sorry. For division, yes. So Let's say we take a number like 16, and you can take the 16 unit cubes and then look at, okay, what are all of the different ways that we can divide 16 into equal groups? And you can show, well, it's one group of 16, or two groups of 8, four groups of 4, 8 groups of 2, 16 groups of 1. And so with those unit cubes, you have a lot of flexibility to show all the different permutations within a number, whichever operation you're working with. Dice. Okay, so the dice, this is something you can keep in your purse. This is one of those activities that's great to pull out waiting for a meal at a restaurant. It can be done absolutely anywhere. So the student rolls the dice and either adds or multiplies the two numbers to practice their math facts. You can also do this for subtraction and division. With the division, you want your child to just have learned about remainders. You can play against each other or have the child, again, seek to beat their personal best. As kids become more advanced, you can also incorporate different colors to represent different operations. For example, you could have 2 green dice and then a white die. Then when you roll the dice, multiply the 2 green together and then subtract the white die from that. So again, the dice, these are portable, easy to use anywhere you go. Also pictured is the decimal material tray. So if you empty that out, that also makes a great place for rolling your dice. That way they're not going to go all over. And it also will protect, a tabletop if you, have a nice wood table that you're going to be rolling on. And then just like the dominoes with the dice, you have those dot patterns, and that's going to, lend itself to your child subitizing those numbers also. Okay, so another manipulative that is fun for practicing math facts that sometimes we don't think about, when it comes to fact practice, and that's coins, play money, dollars as well as coins, and with that, playing store. That is, every child likes to play store. As your child gets older, you can turn it into a saving game for their car or college, the new game system that they want, and how you're going to get to that goal. But with playing store, you're going to be able to make change. So you're working on adding and subtracting, value equivalence with coins, calculating discounts, tax. So again, you're incorporating all of those different operations, as well as critical thinking and problem solving. So be sure to include this in your summer skills practice. And isn't it always fun to include music in learning? So practicing multiples of 4s, counting by 5s, throw on your ShillerLearning math songs. Music, the brain science on music is really neat. Music affects you in additional ways, even beyond other auditory activities, and stores that information again in additional places. And the effect that music has on the mind is seen really interestingly in dementia patients, because with music, they can actually elicit recall of memories that are otherwise completely lost, of events, people, loved ones. And with music, all of a sudden, people remember things that were otherwise lost. And so it's a really effective learning tool also. So in addition to ShillerLearning has 50 math songs, you can also make up songs of your own. Kids love getting creative and making up rhymes and songs that they can sing along to simple melodies. And then one of our absolute all-time favorite ways of practicing math facts, and this is one, again, you can do in the pool or wherever you are. This is great to do on a picnic, and that's the ball. With the ball, any of the activities done with the ball are hitting all four of those learning modalities, your learning styles, that visual, tactile, auditory, and kinesthetic. You're having to track it with your eyes, you're feeling it with your hands, catching, throwing, you're engaging your major muscle groups. That, by the way, is a key difference between just fine manipulation with the hands, with tactile, and kinesthetic is engaging those major muscle groups, which, by the way, the rolling of the dice, that's pulling in that kinesthetic. So you've got that visual, tactile, auditory, and then kinesthetic. The ball activities are great for practicing skip counting, all your operations, your basic facts, plus doing a little more higher level activities with those. So in addition to practicing your basic facts, you can practice addition and place value understanding at the same time. So let's say we were going to be practicing addition facts. You could do your, basic 2 plus 8, 7 plus 3, those things. So you say the problem, throw it to your child, they say the answer, and throw it back to you. It's simple. Everyone can pick up on this activity very quickly. For doing multiplication, you can, well, skip counting. So let's say, back up for just a second to skip counting. Let's say we're going to practice counting by fives. I would say 5, throw it to my child. They say 10, throw it back to me. And so we can do that back and forth, alternating that next multiple. For the fact practice, you say the problem, throw it to them, they say the answer. We also recommend you do role playing with that, where now your child's going to throw the ball to you and you're going to give the answer. Occasionally throwing in an intentional wrong answer and seeing if they catch that. So then let's say that we're going to do some addition practice with the place value also. So we can say 23 and then say plus 100. So it's 123. 23 plus 1,000. It's 1,023. And at the same time as doing addition, it's also helping to cement that understanding of place value and the base 10, or starting with, a single digit like 2 and then adding 10, adding 100, adding 1,000. Kids, I find, really like the patterns in place value. And so with this, if you're doing a word problem, let's say, 4 apples and you get 2 more apples. How many apples do you have? Well, now I have, 4 and 2, I think 4 was the number I said at first. So 4 and 2, you've got 6. So let's say you have 400 apples and now you get 200 apples, it's 600 apples. And then, so if you start with a word problem in single digit and take that up to simply using the same numbers with other place values, kids will recognize those patterns very quickly and be able to extrapolate out those simple equations into, much higher level math, and they'll love the self-confidence that gives them. Also, for other higher quick calculations, you can throw the ball to your child, saying a number, and then the rule for the activity could be that to whatever number you're giving, they're going to add, let's say, 20 or even 16, whatever number that is. Or you're going to call out a number and they'll multiply that by 2. Or you're going to call out a number and they're going to divide it by 7. So there's a lot of different variations that you can do with this depending on which operation you're working on and whether you're still mastering those basic facts or if you're kicking up that to the next level. And with it, yeah, so the ball activity can be done with 2 people, but you can also certainly do that in a group larger than 2. Yeah, so you've got that back and forth where you're throwing it. You can add a third person and now, you're throwing it from one to another. And you can even go up from there. Yeah. I would caution against doing it with a single ball with an entire classroom size group with that, because what happens is there's too much time that goes by between the child's engagement in the activity. So with a small group, but once you go beyond, maybe 4 or 5 people, I think it would be good to have multiple small groups or even groups of 2 doing it with more than one ball. Yeah, but you can do it if you have 3 children. By all means, you could be throwing that ball with all 3. Okay. If it feels like too much fun and you're concerned your child isn't actually memorizing because there isn't any pain, let me again reassure you with the words of this customer. At first, I felt ShillerLearning did not provide enough math fact drill. I was concerned about this because my daughter had difficulty with math facts when she was in school. She was timed and drilled on math facts in the school setting 3 years ago and developed math fact anxiety. That first year of homeschooling, I felt like she wasn't learning her facts. Last year, she learned all of her facts without the time drills and worksheets. This year, she asks for me to print out at least one multiplication chart a day for her to complete for fun. What's more is that she gets all the math facts correct and completes them in record time. So again, the math fact practice doesn't have to look like, the 100 pages of variations of the same 9 problems. And it's funny, some years ago, we were practicing math facts, my daughter and I, and we had just gotten done doing practicing with the dominoes and with the ball. And really good, got them all right, very quick. And at the end of that, my daughter, who knows that I work for ShillerLearning, she asked me, she's like, that was a lot of fun, but why don't we do Schiller math more? I was like, well, that was Schiller math. And I showed her, I pulled out the book because she's the 4th child I was using it with, so I don't need the instructions by that point. And I pulled out the book and I showed her all the activities that we had just done. And she was amazed. She was like, wow, that is really fun. And so, sometimes parents feel like, wait a second, this doesn't look like what other math programs look like. But your child will learn the facts, they will master them, they will get speed, they will get accuracy, and they'll have fun doing it and learn to love math instead of feeling like they're not a math person. We do have a bonus for you. This is exclusive for our Tuesdays at 2 audience, and that's free shipping on your ShillerLearning order with promo code T at 2FS. So be sure to jot that down. And thanks again for joining us. We did work some questions into the presentation. So if there weren't any that you got answered during the presentation, please go ahead and either unmute yourself or just type that. You can message it to either everyone or to me directly in the chat. If you have questions after the fact, do reach out. You can get us at our toll-free number, at emailing blog@shillerlearning.com. You can reach out to us on your favorite social media platform. You'll find ShillerLearning on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And I am just scanning through here, and I just want to, okay, let's see. Should you do individual lessons when you have children that are close but different levels? Excellent question. Thank you, Patrice. So yes and no. So you can do individual, but you can also do group activities. The group activities, when you have multiple kids who are at different levels, are a benefit to all of them. And you can even have the older child work with the younger without you too. But in that group setting with multiple levels, the older kids will end up mentoring the younger, and there's mutual benefit for both parties in that mentoring relationship. And when you're helping someone else learn something, you are thinking about it in a way that you wouldn't have thought about it otherwise. And so it actually helps to add more layers to your understanding of something, which I think as homeschool parents, we've all experienced, teaching our child something that we learned about and thought we knew pretty well. But as we're teaching it, we'll just have, epiphanies that as students we didn't have. And it's really exciting. And I know when that happens, I love sharing it with my own kids. Yeah, so you can do it when you have multiple children, do some on one-to-one, because when you have that one-to-one, you do have additional observation and continuity in that observation. So it can give you insight into exactly where the child's at, their strengths, their weaknesses. So you definitely want to include the one-on-one, but the group activity as well. Yeah, and in a Montessori approach, that observation of the child is crucially important to see what kind of activities they're responding to, where their strengths and weaknesses are. Okay, so getting started on a daily activity like this, you could pull out whichever manipulative that you are inspired to work with and invite your child to join you. Now, with the ball, one of the ways you can invite your child to join you with that is to simply, toss it at them and, say catch with the ShillerLearning yellow ball. It is a really light foam ball, so you can toss that at someone unanticipated and it's not going to break their nose or anything like that. But that's a fun way of getting them interested in tossing that ball with you. You can give your child the option of, hey, we're going to do some math games, which, manipulative would you like to use, which activity would you like to do. You can offer to them to schedule things and say that, okay, this day of the week, we're going to do this activity, and just shoot for 2 to 5 minutes a day. You're not looking for a big, long chunk of time. That quick multisensory practice. Now, sometimes the activities do end up going longer because the child's really engaged and wants to keep practicing. That's great. But in general, you're looking for 2 to 5 minutes a day. Another possibility is that you can put those activities and the different variations of them onto index cards, and then put those cards into a hat or maybe your probability bag, and invite your child to join you for practice, or math game time, and have them draw one of the cards out of the hat or the probability bag. And so it's a surprise for everyone, which activity is going to happen that day. Sometimes the element of surprise is a lot of fun too, especially in the summertime. Summertime, we want to keep up with our kids' skills, so that not only do they not lose what they've learned over the school year, but sometimes we can even use the summer to jump them ahead of where they would have been otherwise starting in the fall. But being summer, we need the mental break ourselves as educators, and our kids need the break too. So keep things fun, light, engaged, and looking to just ignite passion and enjoyment. Okay, so oh, wait. Oh yeah, don't be afraid of taking a break, but I do identify with you. I have to say, yes, and definitely this year, COVID definitely interrupted a lot of our normal routines and schedules. But one of the things I found over the years is that every year life happens in a different way. There'll be different things to get us off track. But don't be afraid of taking a break. When I first started homeschooling years ago, for years I homeschooled year round, which was good in a lot of ways. But after doing that for a few years, I realized that I really needed a break during the summer. And so activities like this, especially, the ball in the pool, and activities with the ball, you can also go to a playground and do those same things on a seesaw, because you have that same back and forth, and using all four learning modalities, similar to what you're doing with the ball, to just practice skills in a way that's all about games and fun, and that multisensory exploration, so that you feel like you are getting that break, and you don't have to be pulling out a book and doing activities from a book. Okay, excellent. And well, I am so glad that you have found today's session helpful. We will meet again next week, same place, same time, Tuesday at 2. And I hope you all enjoy your summer and have really sharp math facts by the end of it. Thanks again for joining.